And now on to a remarkable fifth grader at the Village School in Houston who's also dedicating his time to a good cause. He's not only setting the pace in local youth athletics, but also making strides in the fight against cancer. Luke Strolhein and his school counselor, Dana Sheridan, worked together at building his confidence to run the 5K last weekend. And joining us now to talk about that experience, but also the heartfelt inspiration behind it. Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Hey, Luke, I want to start with you because you're the main character today, and I heard that you ran the 5K at the Houston Marathon this past weekend. I can tell you're very young, so who inspired you to do that?
Well, my counselor, Miss Sheridan, she said, so when last year my grandfather died, she said you should do something in memory of him. So we thought we should do the We Are Houston 5K.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about your grandfather. What was he like?
So he was really nice. He had two favorite sports teams, the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Antonio Spurs.
Oh. And then what kind of cancer did he have?
He had lung cancer.
Mm-hmm. Is that the reason that you chose the American Cancer Society as the charity that you ran for?
Yes.
Yeah. And what did that mean to you, raising money for them?
It meant a lot. It was really cool.
Yeah. So I can tell you're being very humble about this because I did hear that you were the top fundraiser for that charity. And let me just tell people that being a fundraiser at all means that you have a minimum of $500 that you have to raise. And so to be a top fundraiser, exactly how much money did you raise and how were you able to do that?
Yeah, so we raised $2,500.
Whoa.
So we had a website. And then a lot of my classmates and teachers and friends and family donated.
Yeah. And were you able to ask them for donations? Like, did you call them up or go door to door? What'd you do?
There was a website for them to donate as much as they wanted to.
Yeah. And
yeah.
Did you hound them every day?
Nah. Well, no, not really.
You just were able to rake in that kind of money. Did they know that you were a runner, or was this your first time to run?
I ran the Houston 5K last year, but I'm technically all new to running.
Mm-hmm. What does it say on your bib that you're running in honor of who?
In memory of Colonel Reed.
Colonel Reed. So was your grandfather in the military?
Yeah, he was in the Air Force.
Excellent. Dana, how did you, I understand that this was probably, this was a really well thought out thing to do as a coping skill for Luke, and I'm happy that you were able to identify that, but how did you think of this? How were you able to work with him after his grandfather died? Tell us a little bit more about that process.
Well, and I feel, you said Luke is very humble. I feel like that's the exact word for him. Luke is amazing. I'm going to talk about his character in just a second, but really for him, I mean, grief is such an interesting thing, right? Like it comes in ebbs and flows, and you're just hoping to move through those stages to ideally get to acceptance. And sometimes it helps, especially with kids, to try to figure out how to not drown in that headspace of sorrow and how to figure out, okay, what pieces of my deceased loved one can I kind of take and live it on? How can I pay that forward? And that's Luke in a nutshell. I mean, he's a very giving person. So for him, his grandfather was a runner, very heavy into that, did marathons, and so an avid runner, like I said, and also he passed away from cancer. So Luke was able to creatively marry the two together to try to figure out a way where he could kind of live that legacy on. And so having the running piece and the American Cancer Society piece, it was just a match made in heaven. He ran it last year, the 5K, did really, really well. And then I believe he's going to be doing it for as long as he can. But this year was just exceptional in the way that he fundraised, and, being the top earner or fundraiser person is just amazing. But in terms of Luke, if I could talk about his character just for a second, I mean, there's givers and takers in the world, and he is definitely a giver. He is one that he's selfless. He's always trying to think of how to pay it forward. This is not the only charity that he's been involved with. I've known Luke for years now, and last year he had a health scare about a year and a half ago where unfortunately he had to spend some time in the ICU at Texas Children's. And so immediately when he got released and he got back on the mend, he was trying to figure out, okay, what about that experience was scary for me? So we did a big drive last year for Texas Children's. He wanted to have people donate coloring books, comic books, things that would occupy children's time when they were just like him, such an empathetic heart, to pay that forward. So we did a huge drive and he donated to Texas Children's. He's donated to animal shelters. He does Houston Food Bank in his neighborhood. I mean, this young man he's exceptional in terms of character. Mm-hmm. At the Village School, we really, really try to hone in on character traits, and we want Luke. Yeah. We want this exceptional person, and our job is very easy because of people like him. And I do have to credit his parents. His parents are phenomenal, and they do a really great job at school we can educate kids on the world and worldview, but they really take it to the next level. And it's like, okay, now that we know there's issues in society, what can we do about it?
Yeah.
Let's take the action piece. And they organize certain things. So Melissa and John are his parents. Phenomenal people, and Luke does the heavy lifting because he has to be the runner in this situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's amazing. Can't say enough great things about the character. He's what we would hope everybody would want to become. So
yeah, well, some people it takes a little more coaching and training to get there. So the fact that you identified in Luke that this was kind of a natural thing that came naturally to him to be a giver and somebody who's self-motivated and a runner, just like his grandfather. Good for you. Anything planned for the future? Any other future fundraisers that you guys plan to do together?
I would plan to do the 5K next year again.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Well, we are wishing you luck, and I will let you go. I'm sure you got to get back to class, right?
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us, Luke, and good job. I know the American Cancer Society is proud of you, too. They are very grateful for you being such a wonderful fundraiser and doing great on the 5K. We'll talk to you next year when you do it again. How about that?
Yes.
All right. We'll let you guys go. Have a great day, and we'll be back right after this break.